Brad Blanton, the creator of Radical Honesty, is here to tell us why the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth will set you free.
Radical Honesty.
Time to move past conflict into an era of problem solving.
Maybe you could not lie, but enhance the truth.
There are some people who believe you should tell the truth always, no matter what the cost.
I'm not a malicious liar, I'm a functional liar.
Radical honesty groups are probably going to replace psychotherapists. If you get enough groups of honest people, they can handle most of their problems by talking to each other honestly. We do this 8-day-long workshop, and in the 8-day workshop, 16 people get together on Saturday morning and they make an agreement for the next 8 days they'll tell the complete truth.
Wow.
So those 16 people do that, and we focus on distinguishing between noticing and thinking so that they can pay attention to their experience, not just their ideas about what they ought to feel.
The primary cause of most anxiety, and the primary cause of most stress, and the primary cause of most human suffering is being trapped in the jail of the mind. It's being trapped in your own mind. And that the primary reason that we stay trapped in our minds is lying. So lying is our main methodology for staying trapped within the jail of our own mind. What keeps you trapped in the jail of your own mind is lying, and we all lie like hell all the time. You know, like I did a lot of work with couples. I run a lot of couples therapy groups, and we have a lot of couples in the 8-day workshop. And I guarantee you that 99% of all the conflict between couples has nothing to do with reality. It has to do with each other's interpretation of reality. You have to buy my interpretation of reality. If you'll just buy my interpretation of reality, we'll be okay. I'll love you as long as you meet the conditions of my interpretation of reality. And usually one of the couples comes in, gives me their story, and tries to be as convincing as they can. Then the other member of the couple gives me their story and tries to be as convincing as they can. They say, well, okay, what do you think? Like I'm the judge that's supposed to know which one's right. And I say, I think you're both full of shit. Then, basically, they unify against me and they're together again.
If grandma makes you cookies and you don't like them, you should tell her and hurt her feelings.
Grandmas that want the respect of honesty. And if it hurts grandma's feelings, that's fine. Grandma can get over her hurt feelings too. Grandma is a person.
But you've hurt people.
So what? Would you rather?
What do you gain?
What you gain is an intimate relationship.
But you don't not tell the truth in order to avoid hurting somebody's feelings. You don't not tell the truth in order to avoid offending someone. You get your feelings hurt and you get over it. That's what's called forgiveness. You get offended and you get over it. You give people the opportunity to learn forgiveness by being someone that needs a lot of it.
The 8-day Radical Honesty Workshop, people do that, and what comes through at the end is that the people you originally categorized or demonized at the beginning, you know, she's a bitch, I don't see her.
Right.
4 or 5 days in the workshop, you put your arm around that person and say, you know, bless your heart.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah, you know what? You go, I think you go, I mean, I've done it too. So but you go, you know what? All of the stuff I thought about you didn't have one damn thing to do with you.
Right, exactly.
And forgive me.
Everybody in the 8-day workshop tells the whole story of their life, and they get videotaped, and they get to keep it. And they go show it to people, like their parents and stuff, and talk about the story they told about their life, which causes some family conflict occasionally. But one of the things that happened to us after you listen to so many life stories, you get a little bit jaded. So a lot of us now got our life story down to 27 seconds. And it's roughly this. I was born an unusually gifted person to inane and stupid parents who, in spite of the bad job they did, due to my great will and courage, I overcame it to become the sterling individual standing before you now. That's it. Radical honesty is merely a step along the way to living a life that's compassionate, because compassion means that you're noticing something about the similarity between the being that you are and the being that another person is. So that the Sufis say when you look into the eyes of another person and you just look, what you see over there is something very similar to yourself. So you just sort of say, oh, hello, fellow being over there. It's very much like looking in a mirror. And you recognize that it's like looking in a mirror. And as one being to another, you relate as one being to another. You see that that pair of eyes is pretty much like the pair of eyes over here. You see that that electricity over there is pretty much like this electricity. So you salute that being over there as one being saluting another. That's what the Sufis call the holy human prototype. The holy human prototype is the being that you are, then the being that I am. And the holy human prototype, what's holy about it is, that's all there is. That's the being we are. One being acknowledging the being of another is different than thinking about someone else. It's not about the conversation, it's about the connection. Kierkegaard said, a person who relates to another person and relates also to that relation relates thereby to God. Meaning, a person as a being who acknowledges the being of another human being acknowledges thereby all of being. Out of this ability to recognize the being of other beings comes the directions for the correct use of your mind. And one of the things that Pema Chodron has said, she's a great teacher, she said, one of the things you learn from is suffering. And one of the advantages of being a human being is there's plenty of it available. I just love that perspective. You know, there's plenty of it available, and so there's lots to grow on, right? And if you share your suffering, you transform your relationship to your suffering. You get to where you transform the suffering. And transforming your own suffering is done by transforming other people's suffering. And it happens simultaneously. And that's how we're going to save the world.
I thought that I was a person who didn't lie and always told the truth. But I found out that I was passive-aggressive. I hid out, and I didn't speak the truth, so I wound up in my silent judgments. And eventually I created no place to go but out and into another relationship.
And I can say without hesitation that this course has radically changed my life. And the biggest thing that came out of it, I came back from the workshop and confessed infidelities with my wife. And it hasn't been all obviously pretty since I've been back, but I can say without hesitation that for the first time in my life, I have an opportunity to have true intimacy and joy with my wife.
And I've been in the process of communicating the resentments that I have about when I was a kid and different things that happened. And I've really hurt her feelings a lot, and that's really been hard for me to do. And I want to hang in here. I love you, and I appreciate you for coming up here today, and I appreciate you for taking care of Tyler. And I will hang in here, so we're okay.
I appreciate your words, and I will too. Never any doubt about that.
Some of my history is that for 4 years I did not talk with either one of my parents because I was so mad at them and so pissed off, and I didn't realize that until I started going to Radical Honesty practice groups. I went to Radical Honesty 2 a day and realized that I was so pissed off, and I was terrified that if I went and talked with them and got angry and told them all of the judgments that I'd ever felt, tell them some things I never wanted to tell them before, that they would walk away and not love me anymore. And I have to say, I've been in a conversation with them now for the past 3 years, in contact with them, resenting them, getting mad, crying, telling them all the things that I was terrified of as a child, telling them things, secrets that I've held from them that I thought I'd never tell them. And I have the most wonderful relationship with them that I've ever had.
I'm an overly intellectual scientist and businessman, and I've taken some Radical Honesty workshops, about 5 of them this year, and it's the most fun I've had in a long time.
I get to see a lot of mirrors here, and I find out how obnoxious I am, and get a lot of reflection from people.
I'm 57 years old, and I'm creating at this time the first powerful, intimate relationship of my life.
did a lot of laughing, quite a bit of crying, and a lot of acute embarrassment. But basically, it was fun.
I even managed to get laid.
So there will be a happy ending, we just don't know what it is yet.
It is like a dream come true that I feel like now I can go around and tell people that I have these two wonderful, the most wonderful parents in the whole world who sit and listen to me and listen to everything I say and stay in the room and don't walk away. And I never thought that this would ever happen.